Hello there and welcome to another episode of Andy's Shed Live. This is Series 7, episode number 33. And they said it wouldn't last. Here we are. I'm up in the loft today. A bit of a change of location thanks to Streamlabs and thanks to being able to move around with Streamlabs. I find myself in the loft. I've been trying to do a bit of tidying up in amongst all this lot out here, which is not easy to do. Let me tell you, it is not easy to do at all. Yeah, I think we're on. Yeah, we're on because Christopher 2000's here. Streamlabs makes the phone do so much stuff that that it overheats your phone, because we really are working on the edge of what the technology will do, and basically, we need new tech, we need new computers, need new phones, and that, because everything is out of date, and it doesn't do this live streaming very well. It just doesn't work. We need new tech, but new tech costs a lot of money and we can't afford it, so we've got to fight with what we've got, sort of thing. So I'm hoping that we are actually on at the moment. I believe we are. I believe we're on. So I think we're good to go at the minute. You should notice that this is a better stream as well than when we're downstairs where we normally are. Well, I'm trying to tidy up here today. I'm not having much success though. If I just camera down a bit, you'll see all the rubbish and that is on this desk. Can you see all that? I got all the bits and pieces that are on the desk there, including this trim phone. And the trim phone is quite interesting, that I've got here, because the trim phone is one with a button. Somebody said to me, I think it was last week, said, how do you fit a switch to a trim phone? And that is the answer. It fits on the front there, that little plastic thing on there. I don't know if you can see that or not. That's how it does it. I don't know if the chat's working or anything now. I've got a horrible feeling it's not working, because the last thing I can see on the chat is Jimmy just saying hello, and then it's stuck. So is it working or not? So is anybody on there? I'm just going to see if I can alter the. Can I alter the settings on Streamlabs, I wonder? Settings, it says. Oh no, Jimmy says hello again. So we are obviously live at the moment. If it goes off, say something, somebody. But I won't notice, it'll have gone off. So there. So anyway, that's the trim phone. That's what we were talking about last week with the button there on the front of the trim phone. That's what you have stuck on the front of there. I'm now going to. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to wrap it up like that, because it's got to go back on this shelf behind me. If I wrap it up like that, it'll not sit on the shelf. Keep saying getting something. I don't know if the stream is dropping somehow, or if there's something weird going on. How is it? Is it jumpy or anything? Can somebody tell me if it's jumpy or if it's if it's coming in clear, because I've got no way of knowing. I've got nothing to check it back on because I'm not near the internet. I can't plug my computer in. No, it's really, really slow. I'm not getting anything at all in the chat. It's really slow. Jim says it's okay. Christopher says, I got my Ericsson N1671 10 line 300 series working. You got it working? I'm not even going to ask, but yeah. I've never even tried to get one of those working. The wiring was just something that I thought, oh, right, yeah. And I've had no reason to get one working and that. I don't. Oh, you can't see it because there's boxes in the way. But the switchboard, Christopher, is behind me somewhere. I've not touched it for ages. The switchboard and that. There's all sorts up here. Absolutely all sorts. I'm just trying to sort out bits of dials and things. What I'm looking for. What I'm trying to find before we started is some chassis of phones that I'm going to put some of those cases on that I got the other day, and that. So I'm looking for the chassis. Well, I've got all kinds of bits and pieces up here. Because there's the Ericsson N1671 doesn't have the bell inside. Right, what is it? N1671? I can't remember what all these different things are. Got a clock. This is a slave clock. I need the master clock to drive the slave clock, otherwise the slave clock doesn't work. Maybe that's why they gave me the slave clock. Yeah, this is a GPO slave clock as would have been used in post offices. It says on the back, Gents of Leicester slave clock, connecting series with the Gents master clock, working current 0.22 amps, maximum current 0.27 amps, minimum current 0.17 amps. The maker's guarantee only holds good provided the seals remain unbroken. And it was made in 1976. Oh no, 69. It was made in 1969, I think. Well, what? See, it's got a number on the back of it, similar to the number that a phone has on the back. But there you go. That is that. Right, Ericsson 1671. Christopher says, I think it went with a bell set. The phone. So what does it look like, that then, Christopher? What does it look like? Because it will look like something GPO. So what does it actually look like? Because I can't remember all the Ericsson numbers off the top of my head, because there's so many of them, they just all blur into one. But if it's bell sets, now, somewhere around here, somewhere, there are some bell sets. Do you want me to have a look for them? Right, bell sets. There's one. There's more than that, though, somewhere. I'm looking now for bell sets. because there's about 8 or 10 of them somewhere. If only I could find them. Bum, bum, bum. Here's a bell set. Does it look like that, or do you think the bell set should look like that? This is a bell set 26. One of quite a few that I've got somewhere, but I just don't know where they all are at the minute. But this is a set 26, refurbished in 1966. They were still putting these out in 1966. If you look at that on the back of there, Jimmy says he's got a radio-controlled kitchen clock. It also has 5 Casio Wave Celtic watches. Wow. Wow, it's clock week. I'll tell you an interesting story about clocks this week. An antique dealer friend of mine, I went to see him the other day, and he'd got a clock, a Smith's clock. He'd got a Smith's wall clock, electric wall clock. Should be mains powered, but it had a modern quartz mechanism put in the back of it. He said, "What should I sell this for?" I said, "I've not got a clue. I've looked what they're fetching on eBay." He looked on eBay, he found one, exactly the same clock, £300 and something, and he'd been given it, that one, to sell on. But yeah, £300 and something, and it had been fitted with a nasty modern mechanism. I'm also very unhappy with the Repair Shop TV show this week. For those of you in the UK will probably know all about the Repair Shop, because last week they had a clock on and they put a nasty modern plastic mechanism in the clock instead of restoring the original mains mechanism. And that was a Smith's wall clock as well, I think. So I'm not very happy with the Repair Shop about that. They normally do better than that. I was very disappointed at the standard that they did there. Christopher says, yeah, bell sets look like that. You want to see a photo later on it? It's on my YouTube channel. Right, I'll check it out later on, Chris. This is a bell set 26. Now, oh, Dominic's here. Hello, Dominic. Yeah, this is the bell set 26. I've got a problem with these, in that I want a 25 that's got a induction coil in it, but I've just got loads of 26s. I just don't know where they all are at the minute. I've got 2 up here, and oh, hang on. Have I found a third one? Yeah, I found a third one. I've got 3 up here, but I'm sure I've got more somewhere. I've got all kinds of weirdness in this box. Has anybody seen this before? One of these before? This is a weird one. This is one for Christopher, because he likes his oddball telephones from all over the place. Have you ever seen one of these, Christopher, or anybody else for that matter? This is a sound powered telephone. Yeah, I know that sounds silly, but yeah, it's a sound powered telephone. In other words, it doesn't have any electric whatsoever. You plug it in basically to a system and direct to another telephone using this fancy plug on the end here. And what happens with the sound powered telephone, when you speak into it, the only electric in the system is what the microphone is picking up from your voice and turning into an electrical signal that it sends down the wire to the earpiece of the other phone, and that no batteries or anything involved. And you'll be thinking, well, how do you call another phone on one of those then? Well, there's a thing on the back that makes a noise. And that noise gets caught in the microphone and goes down to the other end, and it actually comes out the speaker at the other end. So the other one at the other end, you'd actually hear that at the other end. So that is a sound powered telephone used on ships and things. Davis Derby Genophone, sound powered telephone, G201. Mini of P, cert. Is that Ministry of something? Made in France. Now, I will show you that. I don't know if you can read it or not, but I'll show you it anyway. You might be able to just about read it. But that's a sound powered telephone. Very, very clever. Yeah, it is, Dominic. Yeah. Thing is, you need at least two and couple them together. I have got a couple more somewhere, but sound powered telephone, it's really, really heavy. It'd break your wrist if you had to use that on a regular basis. Nothing exciting in that one. Right, I'm going to put this, I'm going to stack things back up, I think, so I can get round. There's literally not room up here to put anything down on the floor. What you can't see is there's stuff everywhere. While that's down, you'll be able to see the switchboard on top of there. So yeah, we've got all sorts. We really have got all sorts. I also made a buying mistake I did this a while ago, but I'll show you it now in the hope that you don't go and make the same mistake. I bought a job lot of phones from somebody, ages ago, well over a year ago I think, and while I was there he got some other phones and he said, do you want to make me an offer on these? There were 2 or 3 phones, and one of them was an American 500 series, and I thought, oh, that's nice, because although somebody had painted it black, I realised it was originally a pink one, because you can see the pink coming through, and I hadn't got a pink one, and I thought, oh, American 500 series, yeah, I'll make him an offer. It was in amongst all these other old phones, so I made him an offer for this sort of 6 or 7 phones, and that, and came away with them. Then I realised I'd been caught out, because this 500 series phone what's wrong with it? Can you see? Have a closer look. Yep, it's got a star and a hash key, and when I dial it round, watch what happens. It's one of those nasty modern phones. Was a pink one, somebody's painted it. I've got no idea if it works. I've never even plugged it in. What connections it got on the end of it? Has it got a British one or an American one? It's got a British one, but I've never even plugged it in. But you see, even I get caught out occasionally and buy a modern phone by accident. So you have to be so careful. Dominic says, is that a red trim phone in the background, Andy? It is indeed. Right, where am I going? Up there. I'm not sure if technically they're red or technically they're orange. What's the one on Micromen then? Now. When was Micromen set? I remember that. For those that don't know, Micromen was a one-off drama that I think it was the BBC did it a few years ago. And it was about the early days of home computers and the people who built them. And it was about the companies Apple. No, not Apple. It was about the companies Acorn and Sinclair, and it was about Sir Clive Sinclair and his battle with the people at Acorn that were a little start-up and that, and it was all about the BBC Micro and the Acorn Electron. I used to have an Acorn Electron. Don't know if I still got it somewhere actually. And the Sinclair's LX81 and things like that. So was this Sir Clive Sinclair's desk phone in Micromen then, Dominic? Because what I'm wondering is, these came out in the early 80s, and I'm wondering if he shouldn't have had one of these. Now, I don't know when these Phoenix phones came out exactly, but this one's marked as 82. So this one was done in 1982. But basically what these are, these were originally old 722 trim phones in the old colours. And what the GPO did, they brought them back in and refurbished them with new funky coloured cases and called them Phoenix phones, and then you could buy them from the new telecom shops, as they were then, the British telecom shops, which now would be the BT shop. And if you look underneath this one, you can see the refurbished sticker, and it says supplied by British Telecom on a little white sticker. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if that's in focus or not. But see on the white sticker, it says supplied by British Telecom. And this is a genuine one. It's got a bit of a funny colour. This has kind of faded. If you look under here, that's the colour it should be, and it's kind of faded a bit tomato orangey sort of colour. It needs a colour restoration, as has the handset. Look at that side of it and look at that side of it, and I don't know if it shows up on the video or not, but they're actually two different colours. Yeah. But yeah, that's a red Phoenix phone. I can't remember where I got it from now, but they fetch ridiculous amounts of money these days. But I wouldn't have paid a huge amount for it because I never do. But yeah, that's a red one. I haven't got the full set of Phoenix phones. I haven't got the full set of colours. I've got a brown push button one as well. This red one. If I just move things out of the way. This one's not been restored. Now the push button trim phones are a pain because the electronics that run the keypad can sometimes go wrong in them. I've known it happen a couple of times and I've not been able to successfully fix them, although I've not actually tried that hard. But this is another Phoenix phone out the same range. It should have a refurbished sticker on it. Yeah, it has. This one was doing an 82 as well. And again, supplied by British Telecom. There you go. So that's a Phoenix phone. It's one for pulse dialing because it's not got the star and the hash. If it had got the star and the hash, it would be a DTMF one. An early example of a DTMF phone in Britain, and they are quite sought after, the DTMF ones, the original ones. But that's not a DTMF, that is a tone, and no, sorry, a pulse dialing one, not a tone dialing one. But it needs its cord cleaning. It needs all refurbishing, this phone, because look at the state of the cord. It's got the original cord with the curly bit on it, because the idea was you plugged them into these newfangled wall sockets, which were a very new thing at that time in 1982, and then you could walk about with the phone. The kind of early version of a mobile, if you like. Dominic says, at one point the trim phone was thrown across the room. I hope that it was one of the fake replicas rather than the real thing for that scene. What's it? I'll have to watch Micromen again. I believe it's on YouTube, Micromen, if you want to watch it. I believe it's up on YouTube somewhere. But it was Alexander Armstrong, who is a quiz show host basically here in the UK, playing Sir Clive Sinclair, and he's really good at it. It's a really good impression of Sir Clive Sinclair. I'll get that up there. Another interesting one, it just happens to be in reach, a book set, a British book set. This is particularly interesting because it's an alphanumeric dialed book set. Later ones didn't have the alphanumerics on. Christopher says, I'm thinking of getting a DTMF GPO 782. Are they still 782s? If they're DTMF. Not sure if they're a different number if they're DTMF, Christopher. I think there might be a different number. I'm not sure. I've not actually got one of the DTMF ones, because they are quite rare. And for some reason, they nearly always seem to be grey as well, which isn't a very inspiring colour. So, yeah. But here's a little book set with a little tiny dial with the little tiny holes that you can't get your finger in. But this isn't as it originally would have been. Somebody has modified this at some point. It's not entirely as it should be. Don't know who's had a go at modding it. But they've put a curly cord on it and just taken 2 wires out of the curly cord, an old handset cord, and put a couple of little alligator clips, or crocodile clips, what you want to call them, on the end. So somebody has modded this one. Well, that's not the original cord for it, but it works. So yeah, so there's a few of the phones and things that I've got up here. Christopher says he's got a GPO metal case linesman's test phone with a 746 handset. Is it green? I think I know the thing you mean. Hang on. You know, I've not got a green one, but I think what you're on about, Christopher, is the thing that came after this. Right. I'll put this on the desk right now. Let's see if I can point you downwards so you can see this. These were used by the GPO as test phones. They were also used by the military. All versions of them were used by the military. Press while speaking. But yeah, they're wind up, these are. This is an interesting one. It's had a replacement dial put in it, this, because it's had a dial 21, or the thing that replaced the dial 21 dial put in it. You know, the plastic thing that replaced the dial 21. It looks like a dial 21, but it's the really plasticky one. It's had one of those put in, but that dial is newer than the rest of it, because the rest of it is Bakelite era, as you can see from the handset. And you would put your line on here, so you would connect your line onto these screw terminals here, and when you want to ring the phone you're connecting to, you take your little handle and you stuff your handle in the little hole here, screw it on, so it's screwed on like that, and then when you want to ring, of course, to generate the ring, give it some of that, and that generates the ring at the other end. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking to yourself, but Andy, if you want to generate the ring, do you not need to have another phone to connect it to? I'm glad you asked. You do indeed have to have another one. Let's take this one apart again. Stick that back in the lid. You do indeed have to have another one. That's why I've got another one, which as far as I'm aware is pretty much the same. It's got a much heavier cord on it though, a much more hefty cord on it, this one. But again, it's got the nasty modern dial. Although this one isn't so modern because it's a metal centre in it, so this is a dial 21. But again, it's got the same handset, as you can see there, but a much thicker cord on this one. Now, why can't I close it again? This is the thing about these closing them. It's not easy. Now, let's have a look. What have I bodged somewhere along the line? This one's got a date in the lid as well. It's GPO 250 PX 50/1. So it dates from 1950, this one, I believe. Oh, come on, what's going on here? I can normally do this. Talk amongst yourselves a minute. The later 700 type, this is Dominic here, says later 700 type linesman's phones are probably difficult to get hold of now. It's been featured on Techmoan. Yeah, there are some still around. Yeah, that is the Techmoan effect. Matt, otherwise known as Techmoan, who lives somewhere in the Manchester area, whenever he features anything, you then can't get it anymore. I put the handset on the other way around and it's shut easy. There we go. Yeah. But yeah, the green ones that the military and that use, you can still get them. They are still around, those. But yeah, the Techmoan effect, whenever he features anything, it just suddenly then becomes very, very expensive. But there, the other linesman's phones, and those book set things, those rubber book sets that I showed you earlier, I think I've got about 3 of those that I've picked up at different times, one of which came from a car boot sale, believe it or not. Quite local to here. So, yeah. One was a car boot sale job. Christopher says, can you show Ericsson N1900 phone? Look like, I think my GPO 706 is N1900 phone. What had got 706 Basil on it. I'm assuming base on it. Right, Ericsson 1900. Right, take you for a little trip. Yeah, let me take you for a trip around the room. Hang on, let me grab you. Right. I need to turn you around a minute. Right. Right then, Christopher. Ericsson N1900s. Here's a shelf full of them. As you can see, They are basically great 706s. The only external difference is the numeric number bezel, not an alphanumeric one or a plain one. They're numeric. And they've got black chevrons on a sort of silvery grey background. Now they're in 1900s. There's a couple more down here. Yeah, don't get caught out with that black one or the ivory one, because they're not Ericsson's. They are private phones like Ericsson's, but made by different companies, not made by Ericsson. But they are N1900s. There. Are there any more about anywhere? I think I might have got a green one somewhere. Right. Let me put you back on this stand. Right. I'll see if I can find the green one. Ah, it's not an Ericsson. I've got a green one, but it's not an Ericsson. It's made by a different company. But everybody made these private versions. Everybody that made 706s basically also made a version to go on private exchanges. And the only difference basically was, because they couldn't do direct dialing out into the network, they didn't have this alphanumeric bezel on, they just had numbers. But a green N900 would look like that. But the only way to tell is from the N1900 marked on the base, or if it's got an Ericsson N1900 paste sticker inside it. You know, inside the case sometimes there's an N1900 sticker pasted up inside the case. But yeah, the only way to tell is let me get one out. That's easy because it's not got a line code on. See, this one was supplied telephone rentals. There's a telephone rental sticker on the back of it. That was a company that you could rent telephones and that off on private networks. This is an N1900 E244, which a lot of them are. And now that's bit, the E244 bit of the number, that can be different. So it can be N1900 something 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 something, and that's like different models within the N1900 type. But sometimes they have dial 12s fitted as well, so they have stainless steel finger wheels. Cracky, the chat is racing away. James says, hi, I have the green 700 type linesman and use it for test phones. I also use a telephone set F Mark II by TMC, which is compatible. Late World War II Bakelite. Yeah, you can use them as test phones, of course, because you're generating the AC, the relatively high voltage AC for the ringing, by winding the handle. So you can use them to test other phones if you want to as well. You can wind them up to other phones. Christopher says, numbers and letters on the base of my phone. I think my GPO 706 is an Ericsson N1900. Right, what's it on the base? Yeah, what does it say on the base then, Chris? What does it actually say? Underneath, you mean? Under there? If it's an N1900, it will say N1900 something 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 under there, like that one does. It might not be painted on, it might be actually engraved into the plastic if it's an N1900. If it is a GPO one, it should have something printed on there, a code with 706 in it. But of course, a lot of the parts were the same. So Ericsson will be making 706s for the GPO, and if they needed an N1900, they'd take one off the GPO 706 line. So some N1900s do have bits that are marked GPO inside them. You know, like a GPO stamp on the big capacitor can inside them sometimes, because they just took bits off the other production line, sort of thing. And there wasn't a hard and fast rule. People think there were hard and fast rules, and there weren't. You know, bits got mixed up even when they were new at the factory. It reminds me of a story of a chap who went to Los Angeles, and he had about a week in Los Angeles, him and his missus, and he noticed that the buses in Los Angeles had basically got different coloured stripes on them. And he noticed when he was heading towards Universal Studios one day, he noticed that the buses had got a green stripe on them. And when he was heading towards the City Zoo one day, he realised they'd got a red stripe on them. So he thought, this is great. When I want to go and visit these tourist attractions, I'll get a green one the day when I want to go to Universal. I'll get a red one when I want to go to the zoo, and one or two other colours as well. So he got up one morning, decided he wanted to go to Universal Studios, and thought, right, I'll go and get one of those buses with the green stripe on. So he waited outside and got on a bus with the green stripe on, paid his fare. I think it was a flat fare thing. I think like 50 cents he put in the fare box thing. Sits down on the bus, and about 20 minutes later finds himself at the zoo, and says to the driver, "Why are we at the zoo?" And the driver says, "That's where the bus goes." And the guy says, "Well, this is the green bus. I thought the green buses went to Universal Studios." And the driver said, "What made you think that?" And he said, "Well, I've been looking at them. There's some with a green stripe on that go to Universal. There's some with a red stripe that go to the zoo. There's some with a yellow stripe that went somewhere else." And he said, "So the colours identify the routes, right?" And the driver just turned to him and said, "No, the colours identify what kind of paint we had at the time. Nothing to do with where the bus goes. It's just the colour we had to paint on the bus." And the same thing goes with these phones. You know, people think, oh, everything is set in stone. That it's not. You're in a factory environment where you're making 706s, and suddenly half a dozen N1900s are needed by Telephone Rentals or somebody. It's probably more like a couple of hundred or something, and they've actually made 198, and they need a couple more. Of course, what they're going to do is they're going to get a couple of 706s off that line, try their best just to quickly and try and rub the 706 off the bottom, maybe write N1900 under it with a paint pen, and send it out as an N1900, despite the fact it's probably got a paste sticker on the inside of it saying 706, but they wouldn't care. So you can't necessarily take everything at face value, is what I'm getting at. Chris says the number of letters on the base of his phone, numbers and letters on the base of his phone, and it thinks it's an Ericsson N1900. Well, if it is, it will say so. It will say N1900 under it, and it will also say N1900 on the paste label inside the case that gives you the wiring diagram. That will say N1900 on. It will also, though, have another N number inside the case, which is the number actual for the part number of the diagram of the sticky label, because the sticky label has a part number, and that will have an N something something something, because all Ericsson part numbers, as well as Ericsson phones, but all Ericsson parts are also N something 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 something. So that makes it a bit confusing sometimes, because people look at a phone and they see an N something 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 number and they go, oh, it's an Ericsson strange one that we've never heard of. It's not an N1900, it's an N something something something. And it's not. It's just that that's the part number. It's not the number of the actual complete phone. Right. Are we getting there? I think we are. Cracky. It's quite warm in this loft today. Surprisingly so, in fact. Why is there a little, what's that little icon there? If I press that, oh, it doesn't do anything. So I'm still trying to work out how Streamlabs works, if I'm honest with you. It's gone away, the little Streamlabs logo thing, hasn't it, in the bottom corner? It's disappeared. Well, that's good. Oh, it's come back again. So yeah, I've shown you one or two things here today. That will be about a wrap for today, folks. Thanks very much for joining us. I'm trying to wrap it before an hour is up, basically because if I get it in under the hour, it will automatically upload to library as well as to YouTube after the event. So I'm trying to get it in under the hour. Remember, if you want to watch this back, you can find us on YouTube. Just search Andy's Shed. You can also find us on Library TV, or LBRY TV, LBRY.TV rather, or LBRY.com. And you can either watch on lbry.tv through your browser, or you can download the special viewing app on lbry.com. Support us on Library, because it's the platform we may well be moving to quite soon. So have a little look on Library and support the guys. It's a startup business, an alternative to YouTube. And they do need a bit of support, those guys. So get over there, lbry.com or lbry.tv, and have a little look on there, and you can send us tips and stuff on there as well. I've got one quick thing to tell you before we go. We are going to be doing away with the Patreon very soon. The Patreon, patreon.com/Andy's Shed. We're going to be doing away with it because very few people have actually signed up to it and that. So we're going to do away with it and simplify things a bit, because basically it's just not worth the administration of the thing. So we're going to be doing away with that one. We have, though, still, of course, got our website, andyshed.coldpress.net. And we have got the new shop site, andysemporium.coldpress.net, where you can buy all sorts of telephone spares. You can even buy the occasional complete and service telephone on there as well. And there's going to be other stuff, not just telephones. There's going to be other interesting stuff going on there in the run up to Christmas as well. So that's andysemporium.coldpress.net. But that really does wrap it up just about for this week. Thanks very much to everybody for watching. We'll be back next week, 6 p.m. I do hope you can join us then. In the meantime, if you've got any questions for us or anything you'd like to know, get on the website andyshed.coldpress.net and fill in the contact us form on there, and I will be happy to answer your questions, whether they be telephone related or whether they be a totally different subject that's out there. But for me, here for now, have a great week ahead, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.